So, the Israelis always want to tell you that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. This is ridiculous. Once again, Zionism is a political ideology. It is not even exclusive to Jews. You have Christians, so-called Christians in the West who are also Zionists. So let me show you in New York now. These are Jewish New Yorkers coming out and protesting against Israel because of its behavior, and they have shut down the main train station, Grand Central. They've shut it down. Not just protested, they were shut it down. Look at this photo. Massive. This is from Jewish Voice for Peace. They're saying, happening now in New York City's Grand Central Station, hundreds of Jews and allies are getting arrested in the largest mass civil disobedience New York has seen in 2 decades. No genocide in our names. Ceasefire now to save lives. Never again for anyone. The irony is that this is actually anti-Semitic. You are silencing Jews who don't want to be associated with Israel, that is, committing in their name, and you're shutting them up. This is like legitimately anti-Semitic. Obviously, it's not, as bad as what the Nazis did, but you're censoring them and shutting them up. Look, you see the lines, look just rows of police arresting them, shutting them up. Yes. So, whenever you hear that being against Israel or against Zionism it means that it's, Jew hatred. This is rubbish. Jews, Christians, Muslims come from this area, from Palestine, from Syria. It's literally the birthplace of these religions, and they've lived together for thousands of years. Okay, the only time this became a problem, and it's never been a religious problem, even to this day. This has nothing to do with religion. But the only time you had this conflict is when Israel was created, and it was created by the British and by the Americans. It's bankrolled by the Americans. So, this is a colonial issue. Israel doesn't even care what religion you are. You think that, some of the Palestinians that have been evicted from their homes, who were Jewish and were evicted by Israel, you think Israel gives a crap? They don't care. Many... Look at the church they bombed the other day. This is the oldest church in Gaza. What does that have to do with Hamas? What does that have to do with Muslims? And again, does this have to be a church for us to say, like, oh, look at the hypocrisy? Even if it's a mosque, what does a mosque have to do with Hamas? My point here is just to show you that the Israelis, they prey on Western Christians. They like to use this voter base in the U.S. To appeal to that voter base. To win elections, right? So you'll have people like Trump or especially people who are conservative appealing to these evangelicals. I don't understand what they think is Christian about Israel. None of its behavior is Christian. Christians from the Middle East hate Israel because Israel ruins and destroys and makes their lives miserable, okay? 10% of the population in Syria are Christian. Guess what? They don't have clean drinking water because Israel takes it from the Golan Heights. 1/3 of Israeli drinking water is stolen from the Syrian Golan Heights. I can guarantee you, and I know what I'm telling you, no one in Syria likes the Israelis. Not even the Jews, not even the Christians, not even the Muslims, nobody. And the same goes for the Christians in Lebanon, except the traitors who collaborated with them in the civil war, but that's a different issue. And none of the Christians in Palestine, nobody likes them. And Israel targets everybody there who is anti-Zionist. You understand? If you don't support the Israelis, they don't care if you're Jewish or not. They'll kill you. They literally kill Israeli militias that now form the IDF, killed and assassinated Jews in the British Mandate times because they were outspoken anti-Zionists. This is a fact. This is a fact. So again, I think this is really admirable that these people came out, not just as Jews, but people in the West as well, because the narrative that is, the pro-Israel narrative is the strongest in Britain, in America, in Europe, and it needs to be extinguished by telling the truth. What Israel is doing is not self-defense. Israel doesn't have the right to defend itself. It's a colony, it's an aggressor, and it's an occupation, period. Only Palestinians have the right to defend themselves. And I'm really happy to see people understand that. And as Jews, to say that, it makes it more powerful and shows that Israel has no legitimacy to speak as a representative of Jews. Netanyahu and all the other Israeli prime ministers use this phrase, the Jewish state. It's not the Jewish state. You have an oblast in Russia, by the way, which a Jewish oblast in Russia that existed before Israel and still does. That's number one. So, you know, you actually have more than one Jewish state, okay? Israel's not the only one. The thing is, though, that Israel uses Judaism to, it's hijacked Judaism as a political tool to shield itself. It's the same thing that ISIS do. It's the same thing the Crusaders do. You know, if you use the religion, you can shield yourself politically and pretend like, oh, well, we are the righteous ones. You know, we are the pure ones. Everybody doesn't agree with us is impure and we can kill them. You know, and this is religious extremism and a distortion of the religion in every way possible, you know, and they all have, ISIS, the Crusaders, and the Israelis has so much in common. And I've already spoken about this earlier, but it's really funny to watch them now point the finger at Hamas and say Hamas or ISIS. What the hell, man? They have nothing to do with each other. Literally, absolutely nothing.